Hello, and welcome to another season of WP Reflections, where we speak with some of the amazing members of the William Paterson alumni community about their time on campus and catch up on what they're up to now. For our current series of conversations, we are blurring the then and the now dynamic a bit as we speak with Pioneer alumni who are working across our campus as faculty and staff to teach and support the next generation of students. Our guest today is Gary Marks, Reference and Outreach Librarian in the David and Lorraine Chang Library. Gary is a dual alum, earning his BA in History and Political Science and his MA in Public Policy and International Affairs here at William Paterson. Gary also holds a Master's of Library Science from Rutgers and is close to earning his PhD in Public Policy from Walden University. Gary, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Great to see you. So as I'm the 8th president of William Paterson, I'm going to ask you 8 questions, 4 to prompt our conversation, and 4 fun ones from the lightning round. So, to start, you have said that you applied to William Paterson College and enrolled in 1997 at William Paterson University. So as a librarian, you've had a especially interesting vantage point on the changes here and across higher education. What would you say are some of the most dramatic changes that you've noticed as the institution has grown and evolved over 27 years?
Yeah, it's been a while, and that the application process was kind of fun. In the fall, you applied to William Paterson College, and in the spring, they became a university, and there was a big hubbub about it. So you got they reissued acceptance letters on the new letterhead, and then we started out the school year with University Day. So it was a very interesting time to start out. Through the years, I got to say, the one thing I have trouble with now is keeping track of all the building names. So there's lots of buildings that have changed, and as a librarian, we're constantly kind of giving people directions all over the place. There's buildings that are no longer here that we used to be so fond of and used to participate in. One of the things I could say the most different from when I was here and starting in '97 to now is the diversity on campus. It's changed so much. From that time in the late 90s. And I came from a very diverse high school community and came up here. It was drastically different. But then over the years, it's definitely changed a little bit. And it's a great environment now. I love being around it, and I work with students all the time and advise student groups. So I say that's pretty good. The credits. I always remember my friends who were in school the same time as I was. The credits dropped from 128 to graduate to 120, and they were all upset about it. Like, oh, we had to do 128, now it's 120. So they were always like upset about that. But overall, I think that's the diversity on campus is one of the biggest changes. The campus environment. We had a summer event in June. Had a bunch of alumni from my time come, and I'd give them a tour of campus, and it was totally culture shock to them. Everything was different, and I guess me being here just kind of grows with you, so you don't really pick up on how different some things are for people who've been away for so long. So,
well, you'll be happy to know that, like yourselves, alumni who enrolled or graduated from the institution when it had a different name still hang on to that name. But we've incorporated those various names into the President's Medal, so those names are carried with us into the future. But let's talk a little bit about student life and what it was like for you as an undergraduate. Did you live on campus or off?
I did. I lived on campus for 3 years, and then I commuted for a few years after that, too.
What residence hall?
Well, it's no longer here. I moved into the towers,
okay.
North Tower, D floor, and from my room, I could see the football field. So we could watch games and stuff.
You didn't even have to go. You could just look out your window, right? It was amazing. We did take it down a couple years ago, and it was amazing the number of alum who came back to get a brick or met their spouse there. It was really interesting to sort of see all the lore that was attached to the towers. What activities were you involved in?
So the first activities I was involved with were I was as a student athlete. So I was on the cross country and winter track and spring track teams here. Those programs aren't here anymore, unfortunately. Budget cuts, I think in '05 is when those programs had to go away. And we always question, we don't get much except for a little tank top and a pair of shorts. And even for the first couple of years, the uniform we had when we first started here, we were at William Paterson University, but it had the WPC still across the chest. So we still had the WPC uniforms. So that was great. We had a great group running. It was culture shock coming up here from up South Jersey, and it's flat as a pancake, and coming up here, and you cannot go anywhere without hitting a hill on this campus running-wise, so that was a lot of fun. I was with the Student Alumni Council, which I think they've been trying to get going again from the Alumni Relations Office, but that was when Alumni Relations was in Hobart Manor. Audrey Bonaparte Watts and Judy Lindner were there, so I was a member of the Student Alumni Council. I was president of the Student Alumni Council. I was involved in Greek Senate because I was a member, still am a member of Tau Kappa Epsilon fraternity. I'm their actual advisor now on campus, so it's great that have a continuity with that organization for 25 years now. So yeah, those are among main things I was involved with, heavy into running. So.
Well, you do a great job in getting the alumni to come out for homecoming.
Yes,
too.
we love the homecoming event. We're already talking about it on social media, getting back out here in November for homecoming.
Excellent. And how do you think your education and student experience have served you in your career today?
Immensely. So I'm a big proponent of like the holistic approach to higher education. Every time I'm in the class or dealing with students, I tell them like you should double major and participate in as many student clubs or organizations as you can handle. I think my involvement with the Student Alumni Council and the fraternity were huge in understanding how organizations work, the leadership in those positions, logistics, event planning. All those things came into play that I use now as an outreach librarian doing programming for the library. And just kind of understanding those dynamics were huge to complement what I learned in the classroom. Yeah. So I think that's a great thing for students to have, is that holistic, get involved in everything and just learn as much as you can, prepare yourself for after college.
Yeah, we know many students have competing interests today, working 2 or 3 jobs to be able to afford college, but we do know that students who are engaged in student activities or athletics tend to be retained and graduate at a higher rate. We keep pushing that, so you're living proof that's the case. So as a reference and outreach librarian, you forge partnerships around the campus and throughout the community to promote the value and resources of the library. Do you find any common misunderstandings about what the Cheng Library can do for students in a digital world?
Yes. So we're teaching the willpower sections right now, and that's one of the things that, the theme of the lesson this year is 8 things you didn't know about your library. So a lot of times the first thing when you talk about libraries, everybody's like, it's books. And, when we students realize that, our print collection has been dwindling over the years to switch everything to, the digital. And when you start talking to students about ebooks, I'm like, yeah, you can highlight, you can annotate, you can do all these things in ebooks that actually make it easier than the print books of old. And the other things we do, we research support, the helping with citations. Students are always shocked when we tell them we have the 24/7 chat, and it's a real human being all the time. Like, they can't believe that. It's a real person. 24/7. Wow. It's not a bot. So if you have citation help, if you're forbid writing a paper at 2 a.m., let's do it at 8. You can always chat and get help with a librarian.
Yeah, wow, there are very few chatbots that are manned by a human.
Yep.
So you hold a faculty position in the library and were awarded tenure in 2022. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You also taught political science courses as an adjunct. So I imagine those 2 roles are mutually beneficial. Talk to us a little bit about how each role informs your performance in the other.
So yes, so we have. So one of the things I worked with political science. It was a little unusual being an adjunct in the same department that I got a degree in. So I became a colleague to the individual I used to call professor. So it was a little, shock at first getting used to that type of dynamic and trying to fit in. But teaching classes and then being the librarian as well, I think I had a great experience in what the coursework was, what the requirements were for the degree. So being able to create resource guides and curate the library collection to support the programs and the courses was super helpful in understanding those things. Knowing the faculty and what they teach, how they teach is great when students come to the library for help. So I know some of the assignments, I know the faculty. I'm like, this is what you're going to want to do in Dr. Reeby's class or Dr. Tesfay's class. I'm like, I know what he's going to want in your grad program. So I think that's been super beneficial there. To having that intimate knowledge of not just the undergrad program, the grad program. I did my grad program over there too. So it's been helpful, and I did undergrad in history here too. So having that background has been great in being able to teach and support the resources from the library.
Did you know poli-sci and history when you came in?
Yes.
Did you?
So when I came in as a history major, and then later on added poli-sci as a second degree when I was able to, because I always tell students, like, you need 120 credit. Back then it was 128. You need 120. Back then it was 61 for the GEs. I was like, you get another 60 credits, 68 credits you need to graduate. Like, your degree is 33, degree is 36. Just do the math. Get 2 degrees. Why not?
There you go. Wow. You're unusual that you knew what you wanted to do when you came in. So let's just move to the lightning round. So quick responses to the following questions. What would the title of your autobiography be?
It's tough. Maybe I have maybe 2 names. One I'd have to steal from my favorite book, which is Once a Runner by John L. Parker Jr. Fantastic book, heavy on runners. And the second, I've talked to my friends about writing a book about our experience in college life, but it would be like total college experience. Like, I've been in I grew up here, 27 years. Ever since 3 months after I turned 18, I've been at this university. So.
Wow. So what was your favorite study spot as a student?
2 spots. So I was a work-study student, so I worked in the library. It was one of the smartest things I ever did, was getting the job on campus. I started working at the library week and a half into my freshman year and stayed there ever since. So that was a great study spot, being in the library.
We thought you might say that.
Yes. No, and I knew all the secret places in the library, all the great places you go to. And the second was the lounge at the end of D Hall in North Tower. Because we had cohorts of students, and a bunch of us actually lived on the same floor. So we always met there, and each of us kind of took notes in class, and then we shared them at the end of the hall at D floor so we could work together on stuff.
What was your toughest class at WP?
Historiography with Dr. Gonzalez, History 260. I'm a nuts and bolts historian, so I remember dates, times, all those type things is like great thing. I memorized the presidents in like 5th grade, huge presidential history. But that was the first class that like really challenged me to understand like the how and why of history. And it was, and she really like, tested you on, it was the whole semester was just writing a single paper, learning the historical methods. And she was not an easy grader either. So,
Understanding the hows and whys are key to success, I think, in any discipline. What is the single best piece of advice you could give today's students, no matter their major?
Get involved and double major.
Get involved and double major.
So get involved with student organizations, and then I always tell students double major because make yourself double the value when you enter the workforce.
Well, thanks for playing. It was great spending time with you and hearing about your time at William Patterson, which continues to this day. So thanks for coming out and sharing your history and your present with us. It's good to chat with you.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun.
Good to be here.
Appreciate it.